Cordial greetings. Thank you for attending this video. I'm gonna explain you about my research project. My research project is using metacognitive and memory strategies to support EFL students' vocabulary learning. Japan, December 2025. As a data sheet, you can use, we can find using metacognitive and memory strategies to support EFL students' vocabulary learning. The type of paper is research project, research line, ECEDUS line of educational practices, and pedagogical innovations. Author, Hanika Yasmin Cárdenas de Dios. Advisor, Dani Cuellar Aragon. Keywords, vocabulary learning strategies, EFL, vocabulary acquisition, task-based learning in quality research. A statement of the problem. As a statement of the problem, we have that primary EFL learners struggle to acquire and retain vocabulary effectively due to limited practice opportunities outside in the classroom. As a result, students rely on rote memorization, which does not support long-term retention or meaningful language use. Although vocabulary is essential for communication, explicit instruction in vocabulary learning strategies is often overlooked. Previous research, Nation 2001, Smith, Schmidt 1997, 10, 2020, highlights that vocabulary learning requires strategic and reflective engagement. However, little is known about how metacognitive and memory strategies can be applied in primary EFL contexts, especially in Latin America. There is a pedagogical gap in implementation of metacognitive and memory strategies to support vocabulary development in primary level EFL learners. This lack of structure, strategy-based instruction limits a student's ability to retain vocabulary and use it meaningfully, affecting their participation in communicative tasks and their overall language progress. The objectives for this research project, as a general objective, is to explore the role of metacognitive and memory strategies in enhancing vocabulary learning among EFL primary school students. The specific objectives is to identify students' current use of metacognitive and memory strategies in vocabulary learning, to analyze the effectiveness of these strategies in vocabulary retention and classroom use, to evaluate the impact of metacognitive and memory strategies on students' vocabulary performance in task-based activities. Literature review. As a core concepts in vocabulary learning, we got that first of all, vocabulary is essential for communication. Second one, learning differs from natural acquisition. Third one, limited exposure affects EFL learners. Fourth, strategies support meaningful vocabulary use. Five, metacognitive strategies improve self-regulation. Six, memory strategies strengthen retention processes. Seven, task-based learning enhances word engagement. Continue, publish evidence on street use. Area 1, metacognitive strategies. We can find that strategies like plan, monitor, evaluate learning, improve learner autonomy development, and support conscious strategy application. As an area 2, memory strategies, can allow um, can allow apply high long-term word retention, use association, visualization, grouping, and strength recall of new vocabulary. As a area 3, we got the task-based learning. This kind of task enhances meaningful word practice, promotes deeper lexical processing, and supports explicit strategic instruction. Methodology. The methodology I used for this research project was the following. First of all, we got the research approach. The approach that I used was qualitative approach. This study uses a qualitative approach to explore how metacognitive and memory strategies support vocabulary learning among primary EFL learners. The method and design, we can say that it was a descriptive research design. It includes it includes a descriptive design that examines a student's strategy, use, and vocabulary development during task-based lessons. Procedures and phases. The phases was task-based instruction. The methodology presents planning, implementation, and reflection phases of task-based activities, interrogating the strategic instruction. The instruments um, was classroom-based instruments. Data were collected using observation sheets, student worksheets, reflective tasks, and performance-based vocabulary activities. Also, it was like tests and quizzes, like this kind of instruments to collect all the data information. The result for this methodology was the following. Here you can watch or you can observe a table which includes the summary of a student's performance on vocabulary tests. This test was applied to evaluate how students acquire acquire the acquire the the vocabulary retention of, and the topic was vocabulary of parts of the house. So we got the performance category. It was high performance, average performance, and low performance. These are the three categories. And we got the score range. It was, as a high level, we got 40 and 50. As an average performance, we got 30 and 38. As a low performance, it's 28 and low. The number of students, it was, as a high performance, 13 students. As an average performance, 10 students. And as a low performance, 1 student. So we can say that in the high performance, students demonstrating a strong mastery of house parts vocabulary. As an average performance, we got that students show partial understanding but inconsistent accuracy. As a low performance, we got students struggle to recall and identify vocabulary items. So the total students was 24 students, maximum score 50, and the number of test items were 12 words. It was like a matching vocabulary with pictures, with images. So, as a key findings, we can say that number one, most students perform well. As you can see, there are 10 students of 24, students score between 15 and 40 high level, score, indicating a strong understanding of the vocabulary related to the parts of the house. Number two, as a considerable group show average mastery. 10 students score between 30 and 38, suggesting that while they recognize some of the vocabulary, they may need additional reinforcements in practice. Number three, only 1 student scored significantly low. 1 student obtained a score of 28. showing difficulty identifying the target vocabulary and requiring target support. Number 4, overall group performance is positive. The majority of the students demonstrated adequate to a strong comprehension, meaning the instructional approach was mostly effective. Number 5, areas for improvement remain. A group of learners show partial or inconsistent understanding, indicating the need for follow-up activities or remedial support. As a discussion, we can say the number 1, interpretation of findings in relation to the research question. So we can say that the strategy supported students' vocabulary learning, as we can observe in the performance. It was a great high of, number of students that approved or acquired in an effectively way the new vocabulary about parts of the house. Number 2, learners show higher engagement and autonomy, and findings indicate a positive impact on recall and use. Number 2, metacognitive strategies and vocabulary learning. We can say that planning helps students organize vocabulary tasks, monitoring improve accuracy, spelling, and meaning, evaluating increase awareness of the progress. These strategies promoting more intentional learning. Memory strategies and vocabulary retention. So we can say that the memory strategies that we use in like workshops, worksheets, and like match the picture with the word. That kind of strategies, association and visualization, strengthen recall. Group boards by themes improve organization. They can see the pictures, matching the words is a great strategy to enhance this kind of vocabulary. Grouping words, also memory strategies made vocabulary more meaningful. And students retain words through repeated contextual use. It's very important to, integrate all of that to the improvement in acquiring the new vocabulary. So, the conclusions. As a conclusions, we can say that number 1, metacognitive strategies contribute to more intentional vocabulary learning. Students improved their ability to plan, monitor, and evaluate their learning processes, which led to more organized participation and clearer awareness of progress. Number 2, memory strategies significantly supported vocabulary retention. Frequent use of association, visualization, and categorization help students recall words more effectively during tasks and classroom interactions. Number 3, learners demonstrated higher confidence, engagement, and motivation. Strategic-based activities created positive emotional responses, increasing students' willingness to participate and attempt new vocabulary. Peer collaboration strengthens learning outcomes. Students frequently rely on classmates for verification and support, which facilitated shared meaning making and reinforcing retention. Number 5, early signs of learning autonomy emerge. Several students selected and applied strategies independently, showing initial steps towards self-regulated vocabulary learning. And number 6, the integration of metacognitive and memory strategies proved beneficial in EFL primary contexts. The findings suggest that explicit strategy instruction can meaningfully enhance vocabulary development in young learners. Here we got the references, that was executing this research project. So thank you so much for having you here watching my research.